Get ready, suit up, we are going to war. Today I have an epic leather triple header battle for you today. Now the fragrance accord of leather is absolutely essential this winter, especially in the colder months of the year. And guess what? I have found out something about myself. I absolutely love fruity leather combinations in fragrances. Something about it just drives me crazy. I love the way it smells. Now let's meet the competitors for today's leather battle, shall we? And by the way, before I show you who's going to be facing off, I'm going to tell you that all three of these fragrances smell about 90% similar to each other. They actually could be clones of each other. Not saying that they are, but they very well could be. So let's start off with this guy right here. This is Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather. This is the granddad of the group, as I like to call it. And this one, as we all know, came out before any of the others, so it's the originator. And is definitely the most popular and the most well-known of all of the three. Alright, now say hello to competitor number 2. This is Perfumes de Marly Godolphin. This is from a sick niche fragrance house that specializes in super cool and unique cold weather fragrances. Let's just hope that this fragrance can live up to the epic and amazing all gold plated bottle that it comes in. And let's meet competitor number 3. It's from the house of Atelier Cologne. This is Oud Saphir. Now this is definitely the newcomer to the list, the new kid on the block. And it is surprisingly unisex, especially coming from a house of Atelier which specializes in warmer weather citrus scents, but don't be fooled, this stuff is just as beastly as the other two. So now that you're all caught up and that you have met the competitors, let me lay down some rules before this battle begins. Now these three fragrances are going to be judged on 5 different criteria, all of which are equally important and all of which are going to be graded on a scale of 1 is the maximum point. And those 5 criteria are smell, performance, versatility, compliments, and value. And the fragrance at the end, once we tally it up with the most points, will be crowned the King of Leather. That is a pretty lofty title if you're asking me, so let's see who's going to come out on top. Let's begin. So now let's begin with the first category of how these actually smell. I'm going to begin with Tuscan Leather. As we all know, this is a raspberry, like a fizzy raspberry in the opening, combined and balanced so beautifully with an ashy, rugged, masculine leather note. It's very smoky at the same time and very dark and brash. Tuscan Leather definitely conveys pure masculinity, confidence, and power. And this fragrance combines the raspberry with the leather accord so beautifully that it's mesh and are blended to absolute perfection. Alright, now let's talk about the scent of Perfumes de Marly Godolphin. This stuff, wow, smells very, very similar to Tuscan Leather. The only difference is this has like a fruity Jolly Rancher top note. Whereas Tuscan Leather is more focused on the raspberry note, this is just more of like a mixed fruity note, a little bit sweeter I would say in the opening, and a little bit more clean and fresh. Much more wearable than Tuscan Leather because it's not as ashy, the leather isn't as big, this is more of a suede type leather. Also has the same saffron note, but just is a fruitier, a little bit lighter version of Tuscan Leather that still has the performance. And now let's go with the newcomer, Atelier Cologne Oud Saphir. This one, wow, this one is unisex and it does have a slight bit more of a feminine touch, but don't be fooled, this stuff is still super brutal. The opening is amazing. It's like this amazing pink pepper. I get jasmine as well with the oud accord combined with the leather. It's just amazing. Creates a spicy saffron leather type of a thing and has a very nice dry down. Has that Atelier Cologne clean DNA running within there, but it's still very, very good. Smells almost identical to Tuscan Leather. And the oud gives this thing an added dimension. This one is not as linear as the other two. So now let's rate them on the scent category. I'm gonna give Tuscan Leather the full 1 point on this one. This one is just blended a little bit better, has the same quality as the other two, but it just smells amazing to my nose. Don't get me wrong, the Perfumes de Marly Godolphin and Atelier Cologne Oud Saphir are gonna score a half a point each. Those two smell amazing. They both have very high quality ingredients. However, Tuscan Leather just has something special about it that I can't even put into words. So I'm gonna give Tuscan Leather the edge with a full point in the smell category. Now let's go with the performance. I'm gonna make this thing nice and easy for you guys. Performance, beastly on every single one of them. All of them perform 10 hours plus longevity on my skin. I can't even distinguish how they perform because they all perform pretty much the same. Projection is very, very nice as well. I'm gonna give the performance for all 3 of them a solid 1 point. Now very similar with the versatility category because all these fragrances smell almost the same and they definitely perform the same, so obviously they're going to be just as versatile as the next one. So I'm going to give all of these a half a point for the versatility. I see them working best in the colder months of the year, i.e. fall and winter definitely. Night out, daring, and formal are the 3 occasions that I see these all working best. So I'm going to give them all half a point because they are definitely limited to towards the colder seasons of the year. Alright, now let's get into the compliment category. Now I was definitely surprised about this one. I was easily expecting Godolphin to take this compliment category by storm, because to me this is much more wearable, has a much more crowd-pleasing, fruity top than the other two. However, I was dead wrong. Believe it or not, Tuscan leather was the most complimented, hands down, out of these three. And this really quite shocked me, because Tuscan leather is a very bold, brash, it's definitely the most daring, the most hard to handle out of the three, but for some reason this thing just gets compliments on my skin. I think it's the blend, the way that the leather and the raspberries sort of intermingle with each other, so well balanced. It comes off very expensive and very opulent, and all I can say, guys, this is definitely the best compliment getter out of the three. So with that, I'm going to score Tuscan leather the full point for the compliment factor, and I'm going to give Godolphin and Oud Saphir both half a point. I actually have had a couple good compliments with Oud Saphir as well, but I've also had some bad compliments. People say this sort of smells like their old grandma after she was like smoking a pipe on a leather couch, kind of a thing. Definitely cool and unique, but again, could go in a bad direction, if you know what I mean. Alright, last but not least, let's hit up the value category. Tuscan leather, this is obviously a sample decant right here. This can be found for a 100 milliliter bottle for around 300 smackaroos. That is crazy. Super, super expensive. Not really worth that lofty price tag, in my opinion. Also, Atelier Cologne Oud Saphir, quite expensive, but this can be found for under $200 for a 100 milliliter bottle, which I think is quite good. And as for like the best bang for the buck, it's got to be Parfums de Marly Godolphin. You can find a 4.2 120 ml bottle, which has an amazing presentation, by the way, for under $200. I actually found it on beautyspin.com for about $150, so I think that's a great deal. And these two are definitely great, cheaper alternatives to Tuscan leather if you're looking to get that same type of smell on a little bit of a budget. So for the value category, I'm going to score Parfums de Marly Godolphin the full point. Oud Saphir scores half a point, as does Tuscan leather. So the duel has concluded. Let's tally up these points and see who emerged victorious. Alright, coming in at the number 3 spot with a total of 3 points. This is from the house of Atelier Cologne. It is Oud Saphir. A very valiant effort from the newcomer on the list. I gotta give props to the house of Atelier because they normally specialize in the citrus scents. However, this is their shot at like a very dark oud fragrance, and I think that they did a very good job. However, it just got outplayed and outperformed a little bit by the other 2 competitors on this list. Don't get it wrong, this stuff is still beastly, still brutal, and still awesome and epic and amazing. Go check the stuff out from the house of Atelier. It is no joke. Alright, coming in at the number 2 spot, this stuff was so close. This is from the house of Parfums de Marly. It is Godolphin, coming in with a score of 3.5 total points. Wow, I love this fragrance. It's definitely the most wearable of the 3, hands down. Has a gorgeous presentation, the best value. However, this thing just didn't have it where it counts in the smell and the compliment category. I love this stuff quite a bit, and I'm definitely considering getting a bottle of it because it smells amazing, but it just got outplayed by Tuscan leather, which is obviously my number 1 spot. And as for the number 1 spot, no surprise here, it's from the house of Tom Ford. It is Tuscan leather, emerges victorious with a total of 3.75 points. This stuff definitely came out on top. It smells the best, in my opinion. It's the best blended, highest quality ingredients, gets the most compliments, and is definitely my favorite leather fruity fragrance combination. So everybody, the battle may be over, but trust me, the war still rages on, my friends. Let me know who you thought won this fragrance battle in the comment section down below. I'm very interested to hear that. Let's get that conversation started. And that's going to be it for me. Have a nice Thanksgiving, happy holidays that are coming up. I'd like to see you back with another fragrance review sometime soon. This has been Bradley, signed off. See you later.